new #1 morning show in Northwest Indiana. News, sports, education, and entertainment. Wake Up GI with Jeffrey Smith. Brought to you by the Gary Community Schools Corporation.
All right, everybody, we're back. Happy Wednesday. Once again, it is a beautiful Wednesday, the 21st of September, 2022. And this is Wake Up GI with Jeffrey Smith. We are going to continue the high quality of show. You notice that the quality of the show goes up every time somebody else comes on it. And today it's no different. We have one of our new friends. Well, we've got an opportunity to know him for a little bit, but he is the wonderful pastor of a legendary church in the city of Gary, St. Timothy, and he is here right now.
Okay.
He's here to tell us about, we were just talking real quick about the events that are going on in October. You all are always doing some stuff over there, but go ahead, introduce yourself, tell the audience.
So first of all, good morning to everyone, and I'm Reverend Dr. Rameen Jackson. I'm the senior pastor of St. Timothy Community Church, of course located here in this wonderful city of Gary and the state of Indiana. So again, good morning to everyone.
And also for the professor, ladies and gentlemen, he's leaving that part out, but go ahead. He's a Renaissance man. I was telling him that. Please go ahead, though.
Yeah. So I'm here this morning because we are, of course, St. Timothy's always doing something. We just finished our church anniversary,
Yes.
actually, celebrating 96 years of the church being in existence. Wow. So the church started in 1926.
Yeah.
And we've been thriving ever since. And speaking of thriving, our revival, which is what I'm here for today, which is in October next month, and we have every Friday in October we have revival.
Yeah.
So every year I try to do something a little different when it comes to reviving or revival services. Next month we have the first Friday. Reverend Dr. Reginald Williams is from First Baptist Church, located in University Park in Illinois.
Yeah.
And he's one of my friends that we went to our school together in Union and in Virginia. And we graduated our doctoral degree together in 2017.
Wow.
And I didn't realize he was so close to me as far as where he lives and where I serve as the pastor of St. Timothy. And so he's been coming the first Friday in his congregation. We're looking forward to the Word of God on that first Friday. Second Friday, we have our youth. Yeah. And not just the youth of St. Timothy, we are a community church, but we are reaching out to the youth in the community as well. And so we're getting an opportunity where youth can broadcast their talent.
Yeah.
So we have an understanding of knowing that our youth have gifts, talents, and a lot of them have not exercised their gift and talent.
Right.
And so if you have a young person, if you're listening to this morning, and you have a child that is gifted, we want to encourage you to be a part of our youth on the second Friday in October. So just contact the church at 219-977-0079. You can email the church, sttimothy@hotmail.com, and just say I have a child that's gifted and through singing, dancing, maybe it's spoken word or poetry, whatever it is that your child is gifted in, we want to broadcast their gift. So it's called Young, Saved, and Gifted.
Oh.
So we're pulling on the youth of our churches within our communities to come and be a part of that celebration. Our youth pastor, Pastor Curran, who's been doing a wonderful job at our church engaging our youth and also engaging the youth in the community as well. So he's charged with pulling that together. So we encourage you again, if you have any young person that has a talent or a gift and wants to demonstrate their talent and gift, we want to highlight them on that second Friday.
Right.
So contact the church as soon as possible. Then the third Friday we have Dr. Marcus Cosby, who's the senior pastor of Wheeler Baptist Church in Houston, Texas. And he's no stranger to the city of Gary, so he's been here before at Trinity, with Pastor Jackson there. And so he's coming to St. Timothy on the third Friday at 6:30. Yeah. And all the services are at 6:30, so we certainly invite the community to be a part of that. Then lastly, we have Oh, let me back up. How can I forget the Voices of Love?
How can you forget that?
Yeah, that's one of the major choirs, community choirs in the city of Gary, directed by Patrice Mack.
Yeah.
And so the Voices of Love will be the guest choir for the third Friday in October,
Yeah.
with Dr. Marcus Cosby being the revivalist. Then we have on the last Friday, we have Kim Burrell. Pastor Kim Burrell will be in concert, and many may have know her music.
Yeah.
You can Google her, and those who have that technology to go online.
You said those.
But she will certainly be closing us out in concert
Nice.
on that last Friday at 6:30. And we also have some opening groups that will be opening up for us. And so Jonathan Joseph Brown, and I think he's over in at Monster, over at Christian Life Center.
Christian Life.
Yes, and so him and his group will be one of our openers for the concert before Kim comes on. And then we have a group called Rain.
Yeah.
And they're from Chicago. And they'll be coming and opening us up as well. Then we have some special guests coming from New York, and Atlanta and Virginia.
Oh, look at you.
And two of those groups, well, I shouldn't say groups, but individuals, are my daughters.
Oh.
And so my oldest daughter, she's 25, and
Wait a minute, what?
she's 25 years old. And my middle child, she's just turned 21, and they are singers. And so they will be coming, and they'll be singing a duet together in the concert.
You got two offspring that are in their 20s.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I thought you were a baby.
And I'm still looking handsome.
No, congratulations. Go ahead. Good job, though.
Yeah. So we're putting together this wonderful concert.
Yeah.
Dr. Galena Mack is our minister of music, and she's pulling together some local talent as well. We have a young girl that's going to be dancing. I believe she's about 12 years old, and so she'll be doing a praise dance.
Yeah.
And so on the program as well. So we're pulling together some good talent, some
Right.
good gifts.
Yes.
We're going to have a wonderful time, and those that had come to our concert 2 years ago, we had Donnie McKirkland in concert, and tickets sold out. I mean, we sold 850 tickets.
Really?
And then we have folks still calling in the waiting list, still folks wanting tickets. So I will say this, don't wait till the last minute
Absolutely.
to get your tickets. Tickets are $55.
Yeah.
And so you have an opportunity to purchase your ticket through Eventbrite.
Yeah.
Those that have the capability of going online to do that. So you just go online and you can type in Kim Burrell, Gary, Indiana, and it should pop right up. Or St. Timothy Community Church on Eventbrite, that should pop up, and you can order your tickets. We also have some food. You know, we can't do a concert without food.
Of course not.
You know, when we gather,
You were raised correctly.
Yeah, you gather. You have to have some food for folks. So you can do some pre-orders of. We're selling chicken wings and some fries and a pop. And I'm getting used to this pop thing because East Coast we say soda.
I know. When I lived in Virginia, I ended up saying soda. I don't even.
Yeah.
I think I still do. I don't call it pop or anything. I just call it what it is.
Yeah. So when people say pop, I call my grandfather Pop.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
But
I was looked down upon when I used pop down in Virginia. by the way.
Yeah. So for those who in this area that terminology of pop, but we're allotting that as well, part of the package for the to-go meals. So and then we have fish. That's the other options. You can have fish or fries and coleslaw and again pop.
Yeah.
But those are pre-orders. That's also on Eventbrite, and that's $15 for to go. So after the concert's over, you have a nice to-go meal.
I like that.
To go home with you, so you can certainly enjoy your food when you get home as well. And I must say, our chicken wings and our fish is like top notch.
Oh yeah, what kind of fish?
I think he's doing catfish.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing catfish.
Yeah, nice.
So we're pulling together this wonderful affair. I think I'm also going to do a giveaway, a door prize kind of thing.
Okay.
So the first 100 people to show up will certainly get an opportunity to.
I'm waiting.
Win
I'm waiting because I remember the
door
back to
prize.
school thing. You you get top-notch stuff out of here. So I'm waiting. What's the door prize?
Oh, it's a surprise.
Oh, okay, all right.
And,
I know how you do it over there.
So when we do that, certainly we want to. The first 100 will get a special ticket.
Oh.
And then and during the intermission, we certainly will do a door prize. So you don't want to miss it. You never know what it may be. It could be something monetary. It could be something.
Could be a flat screen TV.
You never know.
I know how you all roll.
You know, hey, it may be a brand new car.
I wouldn't put it past you. I like that. Oh man, but yeah, once again, you all do some great things over there. I just want to ask you a couple questions because first of all, I was telling you before the show, I remember St. Timothy when I was a kid. I had family and friends. Some of my best friends were members of that church, and obviously it's a very prominent church in this community. I had no idea that it was founded in 1926. Let me ask you this: how many pastors have been through here? Because when I was growing up, there was really only one pastor. Your church, I look at it like the football analogy would be the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the oldest football teams, but they've had the fewest coaches because when they get a good coach, he stays there. They're loyal to him. It seems like that's your church. They don't have a lot of pastors that come through there. When they get a pastor, he is usually a good one. He endears himself to the community, and the community supports him, and he's there until he can't do it no more. And then they go out and find another one like yourself. I mean, how many pastors have you all had? Do you know?
Yes. So St. Timothy, I make the 13th pastor.
13 out of 96 years.
Yes, I make the 13th pastor. And prior to me was Pastor Alfred Johnson.
Right.
And so, of course, he's the 12th. And then Reverend Laurie, which mostly everyone knows.
Exactly, that's who I knew.
Yeah, so he was there almost 50 years.
Yeah. My lifetime.
He passed like 3 months before his 50th celebration. The church was putting together a 50th banquet for him.
Right.
And he passed away 3 months before that.
Yeah.
And so, he was certainly the longtime pastor of St. Timothy. His legacy is still there in our church.
Yeah.
And the Lord's blessings, people still say that's one of his sayings.
Yeah.
So that's still carried through the life of the church. And I'm always, people sometimes say, you have to fill some big shoes.
I actually said that to you when we first met.
Yeah. And my response to that is, I'm not here to fill big shoes because those shoes are already filled.
Absolutely.
And I'm here to fill my own shoes.
Right.
But to honor the legacy of one who had big shoes, who tread his footprint through the city of Gary, through the surrounding regions, and in our church. So I think that's important to note that we don't want to ever do away with history and legacy. Because I think that's important. And I always make a distinction between legacy and inheritance. Because legacy is certainly not only an imprint, but it's a permanent marker.
It is.
And I think about in my early years of childhood education, I taught third grade, that I had a student to pick up a marker and write on the chalkboard with a marker. It wasn't an erasable marker, it was a permanent marker.
Right.
And I couldn't get it off.
Right.
And
it was there.
It was there. But I took an opportunity as a teaching lesson that even though he made a mistake, but that permanent marker teaches us that we all have to leave a permanent mark in life. And so certainly Reverend Lowry has made a permanent mark in the life of the church, the life of members, in the life of community, and so forth. And his legacy still lives on.
No, that is amazing though. Like I said before, 96 years and 13 pastors. That speaks a lot to the congregation. That speaks a lot to the character of the men who, and I would assume in the future, obviously women, but the men who have come before you, and even up to now, because I've got an opportunity to know you in the brief time we've known each other, and I can see the integrity in you and all that. So that if I was being asked or being sought after to kind of replace a pastor, I would look to that and I'd say, this is a very good place to go. It's a stable place. They know what they're doing. They know what they look for and what they need. And so I would take it as a compliment that you were asked to come here and start your own legacy. And I agree with you. You are bringing your own self to this. Let's talk a little bit about you. I know you don't have that much time, but I also want to remind people that you are a multifaceted individual. You're very interested. I could talk to you for hours. But you're also a professor. That was one of the first things that I talked to you about when you came in today when we were off mic. And so you were telling me that you teach a course, you have 3 classes, about 66 students or so, and it's called Theology and Social Justice. Now, you're on the right place for that. Once again, I'm going to get you here entirely just to talk about that.
Sure.
But please tell me what that looks like, because I would just suggest, here's where I'm coming from. I love this idea, because it seems as if the two of those are diametrically opposed right now. It just seems like that, just looking from the outside looking in. Tell me what that class looks like.
Sure. So, so when I came to Indiana, I came to pastor.
Yes, obviously.
But I do have a passion for teaching. I love teaching, and so even it comes through my Bible studies and so forth. And even in the preach word, I have that, the teaching spirit, if you will, and so I enjoy that piece. And so I was approached by Father Kevin Scoff, who was one of the deans there at the college.
What college?
And this
give
is
a shout out.
Sure, Calumet College of St. Joseph.
Absolutely.
Which is in Whiting.
Yes.
And so he reached out to me and wanted to know if I was interested in teaching, and I said sure, and I said, well, what class are you in reference to? And he said that we need a professor for theology and social justice.
Yeah.
Right up my alley. So I was like, yes, absolutely. We talked, and then he went me to the college and introduced me to the President McCormick, and other staff
Yes.
That was there. And then they brought me in as an adjunct professor.
Yeah. So what does that class look like?
So the class itself, so I have, depending on the semester and the enrollment, I take all the freshmen that come in, and they have to take the course. It's a mandatory course.
They need to.
Yeah, so it's a mandatory course.
Yeah.
And so we talk about social justice issues. So some of the hot topics is what I call it.
Right.
Is abortion.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hot topic.
That's why I'm asking, because how does a lot of the social justice topics right now, in particular with the young people, once again, outside looking in, seems that sometimes they will run counterproductive to theology. So you just brought up one, which is, one can make the argument abortion is one that tends to sometimes, depending on who you talk to, might flip theology on its ear or vice versa. So that's why it's so interesting to me that you've tackled this. So go ahead and finish, please.
Yeah, so, we have to talk about abortion, and again, that's a hot topic amongst my students. The second hot topic would be police brutality.
Yeah.
We talked about that. And particularly this semester, in light of George Floyd, when that whole incident took place, my classes were very heated in discussion in regard to that. And then the other hot topic is immigration and racism.
Yeah.
So those are really the 4 main topics, hot topics that students begin to have conversation about. Now, in the textbook that we use, there's probably about 30 to 40 topics that we do cover as it relates to poverty. We look at communities that are in poverty, and how do we begin to be a voice for the voiceless. And my dissertation for my doctoral degree was focused on being a voice for the voiceless.
Right.
Developing holistic needs for those. I was focusing more on incarcerated, those returning citizens.
Absolutely.
But my work can certainly speak of anyone who is voiceless, anyone who's poor, vulnerable.
Absolutely.
How does one become a voice for those individuals or for those groups?
Now, how do you tie it to theology? Like, let's just say, because there are a couple of times. This is what's interesting to me, and as I said before, I don't think that there's a right or wrong, because this is all academic for the most part. But when you're talking about theology, there are a couple of topics that some people would maybe wonder how it's being addressed. Obviously, you bring up abortion. You can get into obviously same-sex marriage and all these kind of controversial things. And so, if I was a student and I'm coming in there and I have a theologian, I would kind of ask, how is that relative? Or, because, obviously sometimes you hear some very hateful voices that come from that perspective to some of these people who might, be sympathetic to some of these ideas and things like that. And so I think that what you've created is an awesome place to really have a discussion with young minds that are now starting to learn how to form their own opinions about things. So I'm giving you kudos for this. I think it's amazing. So how does that, obviously we don't have time to kind of go down that road, but how do you intersect theology into that?
Sure, and of course, we're going to have to invite it back another time.
Definitely, I want you, because this is amazing.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for creating that space for people, because we need more, like, colleges are, a lot of these colleges I talk about on the show are going off the rails with some of the things that they're doing, promoting. This is actually a very mature, safe space for discussion, and it's very academic, and you're the guy for this. So that's why I'm so interested in it.
Yes, we talk about, once we identify the social justice issues, then we look at the theology piece, right? So I always tell my students that this course is taking social justice and theology, and we meshing it together.
Yeah.
Right. So as we talk about abortion, as we talk about human rights, as we talk about the police brutality, racism, and the list goes on. What was the intent of God? From the beginning. So I always go back to the Book of Genesis. Now, the Book of Genesis is the origination, if you will.
It's the beginning.
It's the beginning. And so when Genesis 1:1 talks about in the beginning God created, and we're looking at how God created a world. He created a world of the heavens and the earth. He created everything, and when He created it, He said it was good. And so the question then is, if God created and His intent was that things that He created ought to be good, then where does this chaos come from? Where does this injustice come from? Right?
Yeah.
Then we got to look at the Garden of Eden, where there were the two trees, and I go through this in my class.
Yeah.
There's a tree of life, and there's a tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
So therefore, and God says to us, to humanity, not to take part of or eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And I say that, that's why I put emphasis on that, because someone said, well, don't eat of the tree of knowledge. Well, knowledge of what?
Right.
And so there's a distinction there of good and evil, meaning that God gives us choice.
Yeah.
And so therefore,
isn't that considered the fall of man?
Yes, that's the fall of man. And so because God gives us choice, and now we were, according to Scripture, we were influenced, or took we gave our ear to the serpent or the devil, or the adversary, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
That caused us, and I know someone would say, well, it was the woman first that
I did not say that.
Eve heard, this voice, and influenced by the serpent. But I look at it as humanity, period, right? And so, therefore, humanity has now embraced this influence of this serpent, or this evil, or this adversary, causing us now to eat of this knowledge.
Yeah.
So now we have knowledge of good and evil.
Yes.
So what do you do with this knowledge? You have choice of now deciding, do I want to do good or do I want to do evil?
Yeah.
And so we have the choice, humanity has the choice of deciding what you want to, or how you want, what perspective.
Yeah, how you want to behave.
How you want to behave, And so that's where evil comes into this world, because we, humanity, have brought evil into this world. We've made the choice by making the choice.
Absolutely. Listen, I think, like I said, I got to get you back. We're going to work on that after we get out of here. But, once again, this is a great, I think you just did something unintentionally, of course. This is me calling. This is another, a great advertisement for why students who might want to go to school, graduating seniors, keep it close to home. Maybe you're out there thinking about getting your continuing education. Absolutely go look at Academy College, St. Joseph.
Yeah, St. Joseph.
Yeah, because this is a great class, man. I'm telling you straight up.
Yeah, and so the other piece of it is, I'm not there to convert anyone.
No.
Because I have it's a diverse group of students. So I have some Catholic students.
It's academic.
Yeah, I have, but we did do a survey because I wanted to know, and the college wanted to know, what's the makeup of the religion of the classes.
What did you find?
And of students. So we have a lot of between Catholics and Protestants.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of students who are calling themselves Christian.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
Christian. Any non-Christians in that class?
Well, I have a few. There's the atheists, which is interesting, and they'll say, "Well, Professor, I don't, really believe in God, or I'm not all into that religion kind of thing." And
this is what college is for.
Yeah.
This is what I always say. I mean, once again, without my politics coming into it, there's a lot of stuff going on in this country, and colleges are ground zero for it, for some of the things that are happening. But this is what I've always believed the true purpose of university and college is to get minds that are going out here trying to learn how to think critically, and to be able to have discussions in an open academic environment that were headed by people like yourself that can spur those kind of questions. Because I can see myself, you can tell right now I'm sitting here, and I can feel like I'm in your class, and there's so many questions and so many ways that I'd love to engage, because you spark my thought. And you're very non-judgmental. You're not over here, I don't see you evangelizing or anything like that. You're just simply having an academic. And I think students who take your class are the better for it. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I just tell them, you have your own mind,
yes.
And I'm just giving you information.
Exactly.
And so the information that you're receiving, it's up to you now to embrace that information and decide what you want to do with this information.
Yeah.
But we talk about, all types of things that relates to how do you formulate a just community? How do we create justice within a community where there's chaos?
Yes.
Where there's unfairness.
Yeah.
And then we're not just talking about the black community. We're talking about all types of communities, all types of cultures.
Right.
And we look at poverty, and how does poverty evolve?
Right.
And how does one begin to move themselves out of poverty?
Yeah.
What are the things and the resources that need to come into play that causes people to say, I can be better than where I am.
Yes.
I can do better than where I am. And I want to do better for myself.
Yeah.
That kind of thinking.
I see why they brought you to St. Timothy.
Oh.
I do. I can just see you on Sundays. You would not only obviously feed me spiritually and help me out, but you would give me stuff to think about for that week until we talked again. Until you talked again. Yeah.
That's what it's about. So part of revival is just that. It's just, how do we revive ourselves?
Yeah.
How do we restore ourselves? After going through a whole year, we're going through this pandemic.
Yeah.
Most people would say we're coming out of it, and I believe it's getting better.
Yeah.
I don't think we're totally out of the woods, but things are getting better. The medical field, the medicines are starting to get better.
Yeah.
And so I look at the fact that, how do we begin to recover?
Yeah.
And I think every believer, no matter what you believe in, every believer ought to have a moment in a time where we pause, we stop, we reflect, we revive ourselves, so that we can continue to survive.
Yeah.
And so that's what the theme of the revival is. It's, are you thriving or just surviving?
I like that.
Are we just trying to make it day to day?
Yeah.
Or are we pulling tools together that will cause us to thrive, to grow?
Yeah.
And even when I look into the academia field, my job is to get students to grow.
Yeah.
When I look at the church,
Yes.
my job is to cause the people of God to grow.
Absolutely.
To not stay where you are.
Yeah.
And if you stay stuck where you are, then one has to question, what am I doing to cause myself to not grow?
I got you.
What am I blocking? Who am I blocking? What information am I blocking that causes me to stay stagnant?
All right. You know what? Like I said, you've got to come back, and we're gonna. We can talk forever. But this is
the event again.
Yeah, go ahead. Definitely hype that event again.
Sure. So we want to again invite you to. I know we get on a tangent. But,
I know we do.
But
Let's talk about why you came.
Yeah.
Thank you. Help me out. Do my job.
So we want to invite you again to our concert, our revival every Friday in October at 6:30 at St. Timothy Community Church. But we also want to highlight and support again our concert as we invite and embrace Kim Burrell, who's coming in concert on Friday, October 28th at 6:30. Please purchase your tickets, $55 a ticket. Don't wait till the last minute because the tickets will sell out.
They will.
And we want to, and if you want to be an event sponsor, call the church and we can certainly let you know what the package is for that as well.
And bring an extra $15 so you can get some chicken or fish.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Pastor, I very much appreciate you being here, man. And as I said, good tidings. And what you're doing is God's work, literally. And we appreciate you coming on the show. And you are coming back. I'm just telling you. I saw it in the heavens.
Okay.
All right. Okay. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a break. I got another wonderful guest coming up next. You're listening to Wake Up GI with Jeffrey Smith right here on 88.7 FM WGVE.